can you comment on the drones that are flying around New Jersey ports?
The government knows what is happening. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people. And they should, because the people are really, I mean, they happen to be over Bedminster.
Will you shoot them down?
They're very close to Bedminster. I think maybe I won't spend the weekend in Bedminster. I've decided to cancel my trip.
Have you received an intelligence briefing on the drones?
I don't want to comment on that.
We are so back, folks. President-elect Donald Trump just talked to the press at Mar-a-Lago. And before we discuss this any further, I want you guys to imagine how President Biden or even Vice President Kamala Harris would do in this kind of setting, okay? So picture this, with unscripted questions and live cameras all around. I'd bet that they would handle this a lot differently compared to Trump. We also have to address the fact that he's not in the White House just yet, although we do understand that everyone's waiting on every single word that he says, because the media understands that interviewing the current administration won't get them any answers. And speaking of which, some of these answers will probably be shocking, if not terrifying for many. But it's a breath of fresh air to have a president who actually takes questions that we need answers to. And one of the strengths of Trump is that he doesn't have much of a filter. He just pretty much tells it like it is.
In terms of your mass deportation plans, have you had any preliminary discussions with countries like Venezuela, from where the Tren de Aragua gang is now popping up?
They'll take them back.
They're going to take them back?
They're all taking them back, yep. And if they don't, they'll be met very harshly economically. Okay, they'll all take them back. You know, Venezuela and other countries were not behaving very well with us during my administration, and within 24 hours, they were behaving very well. They'll all take them back.
Now, if you ask Kamala Harris this question, she would just tell us that we can't celebrate Christmas if we deport illegal immigrants. Huh? How in the world does that make any sense? I mean, at least that's what she said years ago. Her boss would probably comment as to how these individuals are addressed. For a guy that they're calling as sharp, he sure has difficulties in completing a simple sentence, which is now made worse as one National Security Council advisor has exposed the president. His name is Henry Appel, and something tells me that he's going to be out of a job soon. So this investigation was led by James O'Keefe, who had Appel speaking about the president and all the secrets about his mental capacity. Prepare yourself, because if O'Keefe can get this information out from someone in the White House, imagine what foreign spies can do.
Well, here's the tea. Joe Biden is like dead. He can't just say a sentence. He's like really progressed in his holding. Everybody recognized. I can't believe it wasn't a bigger scandal at Blair. He'll be dead in a year.
Meet Henry Appel, an advisor for the National Security Council. Henry Appel shared that President Biden had called the NSC White House phone while on a foreign trip looking for NSC advisor Jake Sullivan. Henry told the president that, in fact, Mr. Sullivan was not at the White House, but on the same foreign trip as President Biden.
My boss was on an international trip with him, like Europe or something. The phone rang in the office, and I was like, "Oh, Mr. President, that's Henry." He was like, "Is Jake there?" He's like, "No, he's traveling with you. He's on the same trip that you are."
In another encounter with President Biden, Henry Appel from the National Security Council revealed a phone call exchange. On the call, Biden was asking for NSC advisor Jake Sullivan. Henry told Biden that Sullivan had left the office for the day. Biden stated he would call Sullivan's personal phone. Instead, Biden called the same office 10 seconds later, asking for Sullivan again.
A couple weeks ago, I was like the last one in the office. They gave me a call from my boss. And so I picked the phone and said, "Hello, Mr. President, it's Henry on Jake's phone. He's left for the day, but I can try to get him on the line for you." And he asked me some questions, and I was like, "I don't know, let me get the tracker down. Let's call his Secret Service detail." It's like, I'll try his unclassified phone. Then 10 seconds later, same phone. I picked it up again. I was like, "Hi again, it's Henry." He was like, "Is Jake there?" And I was like, "No, you called the same office."
Henry Appel stated that President Biden did not understand basic words in meetings at the White House.
Another time my boss went in to brief him, I heard the talking points. I said, like, oh, this is like a novel phenomenon or something. Like, it's new, like, it hasn't been done before. My boss said it. I just like novel? Like, what do you mean, like a book? Like, what do you mean novel? The true meanings of the word novel, like, he lost them.
Henry even goes on to say, on his dating profile, his greatest strength is, quote, oversharing on the first date. You can't make this shit up.
Seriously, this New Jersey drone situation, it's really escalating. So New Jersey residents and lawmakers, they all want answers. And the Biden administration, well, they're coming up with nothing. Here, check this out.
I mean, this is something that everybody is talking about, and the fact that there is no kind of definite answer in regards to these drones, that's leading to a lot of mixed feelings.
It's so close, and it's going so... Look at it!
Frightening. I'd like to know exactly what's going on.
A feeling among many living in New Jersey and Pennsylvania that have seen and heard about large drones recently flying in the sky, especially at night.
I've seen them, yes. And it's kind of scary when you're driving down the road at night and you see these lights coming towards you in the sky. You don't know what it is.
If there was something up there that was not supposed to be up there, the F-35s, the F-18s, the multiple radars, missile silos, multiple military things that are in New Jersey alone, I don't think they'd last longer than 5 seconds in the sky.
You know what, guys? It's just too bad President-elect Trump is still just a few weeks away. Otherwise, this would have been all sorted out by now. ABC News, as you guys might remember, is set to pay out $15 million to the president-elect after George Stephanopoulos kept attacking him on air, which is raising a lot of alarms within circles of journalists who have severe Trump derangement syndrome. Somebody who has a severe case of TDS is Jim Acosta.
Donald Trump has said a lot of things about people, places, you name it, that have been false and so on. And it just strikes me as a bit rich that, he's going to be the recipient, or his presidential foundation is going to be a recipient of this kind of large settlement. And I have to ask you whether or not you think there's just going to be a chilling effect on the news industry just as he is coming into office because of this. I mean, I suppose it's almost a rhetorical question because the answer is yes.
The answer is yes. Media lawyers are worried about this. They're preparing for it. They are preparing their newsrooms for it with the expectation of more lawsuits, more leak investigations, more subpoenas in the months and years to come.
Man, former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy must be laughing his ass off right now. I mean, yeah, definitely wild, you guys. And liberals are going to be going crazy over this again, right? Plus, the stock market just reached a record losing streak, all thanks to Jay Powell's meddling, right? Yeah, great job, Jerome Powell. Here's the breakdown from Wall Street Journal Chief Economics Correspondent Nick Timirios. Watch.
Yeah, I think, the Fed, even putting aside Trump or the change of any administration, the Fed already had kind of a tricky puzzle here, which is what is a normal interest rate in this post-pandemic economy? If you go back 5 years ago, the Fed thought a neutral rate might be around, say, 2.5%. They raised rates to 2.5%. 5-6 years ago, and the economy slowed a lot. And so they said, okay, maybe this is all the economy can take. Now we've been above 4% for more than 2 years, and the economy's doing fine. And so people are going to begin to say, well, maybe the new normal interest rate is something higher than it was after the financial crisis. And then, Maria, you layer on top of that the policy uncertainty. Do we see more tariffs? Do those push up prices? Do they slow down growth? Do you have tax cuts and deregulation that maybe helps offset any of the inflationary concerns you would have from tariffs? What happens with deportations and the labor supply? We have a number of potential policy experiments that we're going to see unfold here. And so I think that makes it awfully difficult to have much confidence in a forecast for a year or two from now.
This expert called it tricky. I call it 4 years of Joe Biden as president really not rocket science.